What if the biggest shock in the NFL this season has nothing to do with football? Travis Hunter, the Jaguars' rising star, might be walking away mid-season, and the reason is not a trade, not a contract, but something far more personal. Rumors are swirling, old clips are resurfacing, and fans are connecting the dots, and, trust me, what comes next could change everything you thought you knew. Stay tuned, because this story is about to get explosive. I was checking out Zillow last night looking at houses, so I already had a feeling something was brewing. You have probably already talked with him about playing on both sides of the ball, offense and defense. The real question is, does he lean more toward one position, or is he really ready to give 100% to both? His answer was clear. He is going all in. No hesitation, no holding back. Whatever responsibility the coaches throw his way, he plans to take it on and deliver. That kind of commitment sounds great on paper, but now the conversation has shifted in a totally unexpected direction. Could Travis Hunter actually be preparing to announce a shocking mid-season transfer? The whispers online suggest this move has little to do with football itself. According to The Buzz, the decision is not about playbooks, contracts, or even his performance on the field. It is about something much more personal. The focus, believe it or not, has turned toward his wife, Leanna. Fans across social media are claiming that one of Travis's very own Jaguars teammates may have gotten a little too close to her. And when people use the phrase too close, there is no need to spell it out. The meaning is obvious, and it is messy. This is not the type of rumor that stays in the background. It spreads fast, and it sticks. What makes the story even more explosive is the timing. We are not talking about an off-season trade or a quiet move at the end of the year. This would be a sudden, mid-season exit, completely out of nowhere. And for many fans, that makes it clear the reason cannot be professional. If true, it is personal, complicated, and flat-out humiliating. Think about it. NFL transfers are not unusual. Players move all the time, chasing better contracts, new opportunities, or even just a fresh start. But this feels different. Travis was not just another name on the roster. He was viewed as a potential cornerstone for Jacksonville's future, a player who could help define the next chapter of the team. For someone in that position to walk away mid-season, it does not just raise eyebrows, it sends shockwaves. And here's where things get even stranger. Travis has stayed silent. If this was really just about football, people would expect the typical safe, polished answers. Something like, "I'm focused on my career," or "This is a business decision." But instead, there's nothing. No statement, no explanation, no social media posts. His silence speaks louder than words, and it is feeding the speculation. Fans are not imagining all this out of thin air, either. Old clips and small moments are resurfacing, and when people watch them now, they take on a whole new meaning. There is that video from months back where Leanna is seen chatting and leaning in close with a Jaguars player. At the time, it may have looked innocent. Now, with rumors swirling, fans are re-watching it and questioning everything. Was that just a harmless exchange, or was it the first sign of something deeper? And for Jaguars fans, that detail stings the most, because if the player in that clip is the same one now being linked to the rumors, then this tension has not just appeared out of thin air, it has been simmering for months. Suddenly, a lot of strange behavior starts to make sense. The whispers about practices feeling off, the awkward body language during pressers, even teammates who used to hang out with Travis suddenly keeping their distance. Nothing was said out loud, but when you looked closely, something was different. Travis stopped joking around with the squad. On the sidelines, he looked more focused, but also more isolated, like his mind was elsewhere. If the rumors are true, imagine what that must have felt like, having to share the field, the locker room, even road trips with a teammate you no longer trust. Someone you can barely look in the eye. That is more than awkward. That is unbearable. Fans quickly began connecting the dots, and once they did, the whole situation stopped feeling like just football. It began to feel like a soap opera unfolding in real life. And the drama did not stop at practice. It followed Travis home. People started pointing out subtle moments that seemed to tell their own story. There was that wedding clip where Travis leaned in, but Leanna quickly turned her head away. At the time, it may have been brushed off as nothing. Now it looks like a red flag. Then there was the footage from a game where the cameras caught the two of them in the stands, having a tense, quiet conversation. No shouting, no scene, just that low, sharp exchange couples have when something is wrong. Piece all of that together: teammate rumors, the awkward energy, the stiff body language, the empty Instagram feed, on a clear pattern starts to appear. For Travis, every day on the field comes with the pressure of wondering, what are people saying now? For Liana, every public appearance risks becoming a body language breakdown dissected online. This kind of tension does not explode overnight. It builds, it brews in the background until one day, it is too heavy to hide, and just when it looked like they were trying to push through it, Travis started changing in ways nobody could ignore. He went from being everywhere, showing up at charity events, laughing with friends, surprising fans with casual meet, suddenly disappearing from the spotlight. No public appearances, no fun clips, no casual smiles. Even when he did pop up, the energy was different. Liana was not by his side, and the easy grin was gone. Instead, he carried that same locked-in, distracted expression, as if his mind was far away. Fans began to wonder if he was not just avoiding one teammate, maybe he was avoiding being seen altogether. And the timing could not have been worse. Just as the internet chatter about him and Liana hit its loudest point, he went silent. Instead of shutting down the rumors with a quick post or even a throwaway comment, he let the silence linger. And in today's world, silence only fuels speculation. That was the signal for many people. They decided Travis had already made up his mind, not just about his marriage, but about his place on the team. And then came the next rumor, that he and the teammate at the center of this drama finally had it out. Supposedly, it happened right after practice, away from cameras, but close enough that people nearby knew something was happening. No one's naming names or quoting words, but with everything swirling, the subject does not need to be explained. For fans, that was the final confirmation, because once things get that real, once the tension gets that heavy, there is no way two players can keep sharing a locker room. By the time this story made its way into fan spaces, it did not feel like gossip anymore. It felt like the truth, without anyone saying it out loud. And while Travis stayed quiet, his silence shouted louder than anything he could have posted. Liana's silence only added fuel: no posts, no appearances, no trace of her usual public presence. For someone who was always at least somewhat visible, her sudden disappearance was glaring. Officially, everyone's lips remain sealed, but unofficially, the whispers grow louder every day. The question now is not if Travis is leaving, but how he will pull it off. And when the truth does finally come out, the transfer itself will not be the headline. The reason behind it will, and that is the part the NFL may not be ready to see explode across every screen. One thing is certain: this story is far from over. Old clips have started resurfacing, whispers from inside the locker room are spreading, and people are pointing out that Travis and Liana's marriage already seem to have cracks. Fans are digging through past interviews, practice footage, and behind-the-scenes moments, looking for signs that something was off long before the rumors hit. Even subtle gestures, like a forced smile or a brief pause in conversation, are being analyzed for hidden meaning. It is as if the internet is piecing together a puzzle that no one wanted to see broken, but now cannot look away from. If even part of what is being said is true, leaving the Jaguars might actually be the least dramatic part of this whole story. Transfers happen all the time in the NFL. Players chase better contracts, bigger opportunities, or a fresh start somewhere new. But this situation does not feel like a typical football move. There is a weight to it, a personal side that makes the headlines feel smaller compared to the storm behind the scenes. This is a player many fans considered the future of Jacksonville, the one they imagined building the team around, the one who was supposed to grow into a franchise cornerstone. And suddenly, mid-season, he is packing his bags. That is not normal. That is the kind of move that makes people stop scrolling and ask questions. How could this happen now? Why now? The timing alone is enough to make eyebrows rise and speculations spiral out of control. Every detail, from the old clips to locker room whispers, to the public hints of tension in his marriage, adds fuel to the fire. Fans are left wondering whether this is just a professional decision, or something far more personal, complicated, and messy. And until Travis speaks, the mystery only deepens, making this mid-season exit feel like one of the most unusual, dramatic stories in recent NFL history. And here is what makes it more suspicious: Travis has stayed completely silent. Normally, if it was just a business decision, you would expect the usual safe lines: "It's all about my career," or "I'm ready for a new opportunity." Instead, nothing. No statements, no posts, no explanations. and this silence stands out, especially because when the Jaguars first drafted him, he was everywhere online, loud and proud about his future. Now, not a word. The energy alone says enough. That tone alone was enough to set off sparks behind the scenes, and once Travis stayed quiet, fans immediately began connecting the dots. Silence, in situations like this, often speaks louder than words, and that quiet only made the speculation grow. What really fueled the fire, though, was how perfectly everything lined up with moments that had already been seen before. Those little details that once seemed harmless now took on new meaning. Old clips of Travis and Liana, small gestures during games, or fleeting interactions with teammates suddenly felt like pieces of a larger puzzle. Fans began replaying every subtle glance, every brief conversation, trying to read between the lines. What once seemed innocent now felt like a hint of something more serious happening behind the scenes. The whispers from inside the locker room did not help matters either. People close to the team suggested that tension had been building for some time, that the dynamics on and off the field were subtly shifting, and that certain relationships had begun to feel strained. Even small changes in routine or behavior that fans might have overlooked before now became part of the story. All of these elements together created a perfect storm. The tone of those interactions, Travis's silence, and the resurfacing clips combined to give the impression that something far bigger was at play than just ordinary locker room drama. Every detail amplified the sense of mystery and tension, and fans were left to speculate about what was really happening behind closed doors, knowing that the truth, when it comes out, might be far more dramatic than anyone had imagined. Take that old clip from months back, the one where Liana is seen leaning in and chatting with a Jaguars player. At the time, many fans probably watched it and thought nothing of it, a casual conversation, maybe a friendly gesture. But now, the video is making the rounds again, and people are watching it with much sharper eyes. Every glance, every lean, every small interaction is being examined for hidden meaning. Social media users are pausing, replaying, and zooming in, looking for signs that the interaction might have been more than just friendly. And here is where it gets tricky for Jaguars fans. If the player in that clip is the same one now being linked to the rumors swirling online, then this is not a sudden conflict that just appeared overnight. This has been simmering for months, quietly building under the surface. The tension has likely been there all along, even if most people were not aware of it at first. Suddenly, those small, subtle moments during games, practices, and public appearances start to make sense. The awkward pauses, the stiff body language, the strange energy during interviews, all of it fits into a larger picture that fans are only now starting to piece together. It also explains why the vibe around the team may have already felt off. Long before the story blew up, people noticed it subconsciously. Some players seemed distant. The camaraderie felt a little strained, and even press conferences carried an unusual tension. Things that might have been dismissed as normal distractions now seem like early warning signs of something much bigger. For fans piecing everything together, this clip is more than just old footage. It has become a key puzzle piece, a glimpse into a storyline that has been quietly unfolding behind the scenes. And as each detail comes to light, it becomes clearer that the drama is deeper, more personal, and far more complicated than anyone could have imagined when they first saw that simple video months ago. There were hints, subtle things. Fans noticed that some teammates who used to laugh and hang around with Travis were no longer near him much. Even at press conferences, the energy felt different, like people were carefully picking their words. No one ever came out and said, "Yeah, there's drama." But if you looked close enough, Travis just seemed changed. The easy smiles were gone. On the sidelines, he kept more to himself. He looked locked in, but also distant, like he was carrying something heavier than football. And if the rumor about a teammate and Liana holds even a shred of truth, that distance makes sense. Imagine practicing, traveling, and sharing a locker room with someone you do not even want to make eye contact with. That is not just uncomfortable, that is suffocating. Once fans began connecting the dots that way, this stopped sounding like football and started playing out like a soap opera unfolding off the field. And the tension did not end at practice. Drama like this follows you everywhere: the car, the kitchen, even into the stands. People started pointing to small moments that now seem like pieces of the puzzle. That wedding clip where Travis leaned in but she turned her head quickly. The game footage of them in the stands. No yelling, no public blow-up. Just that tight, sharp conversation couples have when something is not right. Put those little details next to the teammate rumors, the stiff body language, the suddenly quiet Instagram feed, and a picture begins to form. It is not hard proof, but it is pressure. For him, every practice snap comes with the thought, what are people saying now? For her, every camera angle turns into an online body language debate. And before anyone calls it a reach, let's be honest, fans had noticed these signs for months. They just did not speak on them until now. Tension like that does not appear overnight. It simmers, it lingers, and then one day, it spills over. And just when it seemed like Travis was trying to keep pushing through it, he switched up his whole routine in ways people could not ignore. The changes did not just stay at home, they spread into his public life. This is a guy who used to be everywhere, popping up at charity events, surprising fans, laughing it up with friends, showing off his fun off-season energy. Those easy smiles and casual hangouts were part of his brand. But suddenly, nothing. No public appearances. No fun clips. No meet and greets. He went from being everywhere to almost invisible. And the rare times he did show up, it was different. No Liana by his side. No relaxed grin, just that same locked-in, distracted look, like his mind was far away. That is when fans started to believe this was not only about avoiding one teammate. Maybe he was avoiding being seen at all. And the timing could not have been worse. Just as he was disappearing from the spotlight, the online rumors about him and Liana were reaching their loudest point. Instead of shutting it down with a quick post or even a casual denial, he chose silence. And that silence only let the speculation grow louder. For many fans, that was the breaking point. It looked like Travis had already made up his mind, not just about his marriage, but about his future with the team. And then came another twist. Word started spreading that Travis and the teammate at the center of all this didn't just avoid each other anymore, they finally clashed. The story goes, it happened after practice, away from the cameras but still close enough that people nearby knew something was going down. Nobody's stepping forward to repeat exactly what was said, but let's be real, you do not need a script to know the subject. With all these rumors in the air, the topic practically speaks for itself. For a lot of fans, that was the moment. They decided, yep, this is done. Because once things hit that level of tension, once it gets that heavy, there is no way to players keep sharing the same locker room without something giving way. By the time word of it spread into fan spaces, it no longer even sounded like gossip. It felt like a quiet confirmation. Travis didn't have to say a word, his silence was saying plenty. And then there was Liana's silence, which was even louder. Suddenly, no more social media posts. No more appearances on the sideline. No cameos in the team's usual behind-the-scenes clips. For someone who always had at least some kind of presence, her sudden disappearance was impossible to miss. Fans picked up on it instantly. Now, a social media break on its own is nothing new, but this felt different. It looked like she wasn't just stepping back, she was dodging the spotlight completely. And when you match that up with the timing of everything else, fans did not need much imagination to start connecting the dots. Officially, everyone kept quiet. No comments from Travis, nothing from Liana, and the Jaguars carried on like business as usual. But unofficially, the whispers were only getting louder and louder. The conversation shifted quickly. It was no longer if Travis was leaving. The question became how he was going to do it. Right now, Travis isn't talking. Liana's staying in the shadows. The Jaguars are brushing it off, which means the truth won't come out until someone on the inside finally decides to spill. And, when that happens, let's be clear, the transfer itself won't be the headline. The reason behind it will, and that's the part the NFL may not be ready to see splashed across every screen in America. So if you've been following this saga, you already know it's not over. Not even close. Stick around, because the second someone breaks their silence, you'll want to be right here when it happens.